All right, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave. I got a very special guest with me today. If you like interesting interviews with rock legends, I think you're going to enjoy this one. I don't know how I got this one. I just asked a bit, and they said, okay, you can interview this guy. Took me a few days, but I want everyone to welcome to the channel Mr. Carmine Appice. Carmine, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Good. Just having my coffee and I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, you and I both. It's
Yeah.
we're recording this in the morning, so rock and roll guys, they
Yeah.
don't get up usually
Yeah.
early. So,
Oh, I do. I do. Not too early. The dog wakes us up.
oh, okay, I have a dog too, so we have a lot in common. You're on the East Coast of Florida, I'm on the West Coast, so
Right.
we both figured it out. You might as well go south. I'm originally from New
That's right.
England, and I'm thinking you're
Uh-huh.
you're probably from the Northeast somewhere, right?
I'm from Brooklyn. Yeah.
See, there you go. So you can tell by the accent. So, um, what are you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I am not. We are not. And the only Hall of Fame like that I'm in is Long Island Music Hall of Fame.
All right.
I'm in the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame, the Guitar Center Hall of Fame, all that kind of stuff, but not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think they should change their name anyway because they're bringing in people that are not rock and roll. So they should call it the Music Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were overlooked, which kind of pisses me off. But then watching all the people they're bringing in, I don't really mind. The Go Go's, you know,
The Go-Go's are probably they're not the least of my problems.
Dolly Parton,
Yeah.
rappers.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
it's not rock and roll.
Right.
No.
Well, you don't have any
But
influence with those guys, huh? You can't call somebody over there and say, "Hey,
no,
I'm."
I don't really care, to tell you the truth. So what? I got friends of mine that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they're still, wondering how to get gigs. You know, so it doesn't really make a difference.
All right, that's good. That's a good
If
answer.
you're
So
in, if you're in my studio, you'll see all the gold and platinum records on the wall. That's what really matters.
there you go. There you go. So, just for the audience, right? I'm gonna do Cliff Notes version a little bit of your career, and I'm gonna probably omit a couple of things. So you're probably gonna have to fill in the blanks. So, Vanilla Fudge, was that the first thing you did?
Yes.
Okay. And then Cactus, which we're going to be talking about a little bit today because you have a new project. We want to promote that because
Right.
it's like Carmine's Blues All Stars is kind of like
Yeah.
what it
Right.
is,
That's a good name. I like that.
right? So yeah, I mean, if Ringo can do it, you can do it. That's where I'm
Yeah.
getting at here.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So just call them up and tell them, and just give me small royalty, and I'll be cool with that.
Okay.
So we got Cactus. Then you're hanging out with Jeff Beck for a little while, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. We had the Beck Bogan and the Peace album and tours and all that.
Yeah. So one of the, if not the greatest guitarist, probably top three, top five, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Rod Stewart, is that
Yeah.
right?
hmm
So and you wrote a couple of big songs or helped co-write songs with Rod Stewart. Is that correct?
I did. I did.
Which songs?
Do you think I'm sexy? The biggest song he ever had. And Young Turks, which was also a pretty big song.
So you helped write "Do You Think I'm Sexy"? Wow,
I did.
that's
I
like
did.
good stuff. In the '80s, Blue Murder came along, but I'm thinking you did stuff prior to that.
Oh yeah, I did. I did Ted Nugent. I did Ozzy.
Nice.
I did King Cobra.
Okay, King Cobra. Okay.
Yeah. Blue Murder was the last thing. King Cobra was my band. I started it.
Wow. Well, I told you you're gonna have to fill in the blanks. So Blue Murder, I was still doing the radio thing when Blue
Yeah.
Murder came out, and we were all like, I mean, Jelly Roll was like #5 or something. It was a big song for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
And then what you been doing since
Well, then in the '90s, I did Ed the Winner for a couple of 2, 3 years. Then I did an
nice.
album called Carmine's Guitar Juice, which is the same kind of concept. I wrote songs with Tony Franklin and Kelly Keelan, who used to be in Blue Murder, and we got everybody. And 2 albums we came out of Japan with it. But I got, like Brian May, Richie Sambora, Ingrid Malmsteen, Slash, Mick
Wow.
Mars, so many of Steve Moss. Ted Nugent, Dweezil Zappa, just all the great guitar players.
Wow.
Everybody but Clapton, Beck, and Page. Everybody else, pretty much. It's called Carmine Appice's Guitar Zeus, meaning guitar gods. And it's still on YouTube and still for sale. I did a 25th anniversary box set. I think it was last year, beginning of last year, and then I went on to play with Tony Franklin a lot in Japan during the '90s, and then we came back in the early 2000s with Vanilla Fudge, and then we did Cactus, and I played with Rick Derringer in the '80s. They're called Derringer and Appice, and then in early 2000s I played with me and Pat Travis did albums called Travis and Appice. So it just it just kept building, kept going.
Yeah, you're a busy guy, and you're playing with everybody who's good. Anybody who's any good, they'll play.
That's right. I will not put out crappy music. Let's put it that way. They did 2 instrumental albums with a new kid from LA. It's called Appice Perdomo Project, and there's some really good stuff on there. And one of the best videos we did is a song called Drum City, which I did some artwork with a friend of mine, and I made artwork with things made of drums, like the Leaning Tower of Drumsa, or the drum henge instead of Stonehenge, drum henge. And Drum City was a city made of drums.
Nice. Yeah.
Like a bridge was a hi-hat stand going across the river, like New York, and we used that as a background. And then the editor I had said, I can animate it. I said, let's do it. So we animated it. Then it's on YouTube. It's called Drum City, Appice Perdomo, or Carmine Appice Drum City. And it's really cool. It's instrumental,
Yeah, I like all the euphemisms or whatever, the leaning drums and all. That's good. That's good stuff. So you sound like an Italian guy. I mean, your name from Brooklyn.
I mean, in Italy, it's Carmine Appice.
Capice, yeah, I knew, because it's easy to Appice, yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard your name pronounced like 10 different ways.
Oh, dude, when I joined Rod Stewart in 1976, he said, we have to pick a name for you because you have like 15 different names.
Yeah.
He said, what do most people call you? I said, well, most people call me Carmine Appice. I said, okay, so let's call Carmine Appice. Well, actually, they call me Carmen Appice.
Carmen, yeah.
I said, come on. That's why I didn't name my son Carmine. He would have been the third. He lives in LA, and I don't want everybody calling him Carmine. So I named him Nicholas Carmine.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway, so we took that name, Carmine Appice, and ever since then, I've been Carmine Appice. My brother came out with Black Sabbath. He played drums with Black Sabbath, and Dio came out with Sabbath. Vinny Appice, which is the original way I should say my name.
Yeah.
And everybody has been confused ever since. Since 1980. Come on, 40 years of being confused.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people know it now. But,
yeah, and the radio business, you have to kind of when you get on the radio, you gotta at least have the right name, like if you're going to talk about somebody. And
there was in New York City, there was a NEW, I think it was the night bird. Her name was Allison Steele.
Yep.
And she used to go Beck Bogan and Appice.
Yeah.
Real sexy. That was cool.
Made it sound really good. So there's this rumor, and I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's I don't know if it's like, what do they call it, legend or folklore or whatever, that when after John Bonham had passed away, that Led Zeppelin was thinking about bringing you in. Was that true or not?
Yeah, it was a rumor. It was Cozy Powell and me were the guys they were talking about, and John Bonham was I was John Bonham's mentor back in the day. You can read it in his book, Thunder of Drums, because they opened up for Vanilla Fudge, the very first gig, December 26, 1968, before their first album was out.
Yeah.
We had them open up for us. The promoter didn't want them. We were already sold out. It was Vanilla Fudge and Spirit. We were sold out. And we ended up paying half their fee because the promoter didn't want to pay $1,500 for that. So Vanilla Fudge paid $750 to have them on the show, and they got booed off on the very first show.
Get out.
Hard-
Led
hard
Zeppelin
to
got
believe,
booed
huh?
off.
And then there was a, kids were like, bring on the Fudge, that kind of stuff. It wasn't exactly booed, but it was, they really didn't go over that great. And then the next few, well, they weren't advertised, first of all.
Yeah.
And then the next few dates they were advertised. They got the spelling wrong. They were called Len something, Len whatever, Len Zeppelin, weird names,
Yeah.
And so we did like 4 or 5 shows with them before their album came out.
Wow.
And then '69 we did the Ed Sullivan show as well. We did it in '68 also, and I got John Bonham the same drum set I have. He loved my drum set because it was big, oversized maple drums with a beautiful kit, and it's a legend story. That I've told that story. It's been talked about. I got pictures of me and him playing the same at night. Played the same drum set. It was his drum set and my drum set. From wondering what the audience thought. We did equal bill. They were playing with the drum set, then the drum set would come off, and my drum set would come off. Same drum set.
Wow.
The audience would go, why did they take that drum set off?
I mean,
but they were friends of ours, and they got big really fast.
Yeah, it's just kind of right. But you kind of have a sound. I mean, you and John kind of have a similar playing style. So you are his mentor, and it's interesting. The people know a lot more about him. Probably number one, he's in Zeppelin, and number two, he passed away. It's been 40, how many years? 44 years.
44 years. I was in Europe when I heard about him dying. I was doing clinics. And there was a rumor, I was with Rod Stewart in the tours right after that. And that rumor started, and Rod said to me, are you joining Led Zeppelin? I said, not that I know of. I said, there's a rumor. He said, yeah, I know. He said, well, I heard about it. So he said, there's a rumor I'm quitting the business too. So he said, let's keep it going. We'll sell more tickets.
It's what they're doing. It's what they do today every year with these farewell tours. Speaking of that, are you still out there performing live at all?
Oh yeah, we're playing with Vanilla Fudge. We just did 4 shows last weekend. June 7, 8, and 9, we're doing Cactus shows, and also 27, 28, 29, 30, we do Cactus shows for June. Then I have another show, which is like a Rod tribute kind of show. It's called Tonight's the Night. I found a guy that looks exactly like Rod.
Nice.
Sings like him, has all the moves, and he's been doing Rod tributes for 20 years. I went up to see a show. He had over 1,000 people there. Wow. I went up and played with him. The people went crazy. And I said, wow, this is awesome. And I saw Rod like 2 years ago, and he did 12 songs. Out of the 12 songs, I was involved in 8 of them.
Wow.
And I said, you know what, this is really screwed up, man. I never get to play these songs,
Yeah, how come?
I helped write them. I helped record them. I did background vocals. I was in the studio sometimes to help Rod, just as a producer kind of guy, and I never get to play them. So I said I would like to play these songs. So when this thing came up, and I went up and jammed with no rehearsal, I just played the songs that I knew, and people went crazy. He said we should be partners.
Right.
I said okay, let's go. So we got a whole bunch of gigs. If you look at CarmineAppice.com, you'll see all the gigs we have. I got gigs in November with Cactus, with Fudge, and we got gigs in August being booked with Cactus in between the Rod gigs. So yeah, I'm working.
So you're not retiring anytime soon.
No. People say to me, "Oh, you're down in Florida. You must play golf. Do you play golf?" I go, "No, I don't like golf. I don't play golf." They said, "Do you have a hobby? What do you do?" I said, "Yeah, I play drums."
Rock and roll till you die, man.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean,
I got a studio here in my house, and I've done all these different projects. I did the Appice project there. I did the last Cactus album called Tightrope. I did here. I did videos here. It's great. I just walk through my garage, walk into the guest house, and there it is. I have a little gym in there too. So I'm
Good for you, man.
self-contained all around, you know.
Yeah, good. I mean, that's keeping you going, and it sounds like you're just you're very pumped up about all the stuff that you're still
I
doing.
love it. I love music. You know,
Yeah. Well,
I love music. I love writing. I like producing. I like playing. You know, I practice every day on the drum pad. You know, and like and because I have the studio, this new album, the Cactus,
yep.
Temple of Blues,
Right.
Influences and Friends, was started in the studio
Yeah.
with my drums. It started just with the drums by itself.
So
So at first,
you're
go ahead.
reworking these songs, right? But these are all
Yes.
songs that Cactus did back, early
Yeah, and I
70s.
can, yeah. And I've been with Cleopatra Records on different projects. The owner's a real good friend of mine, and we had some Cactus albums that did well on his label. So he said to me, he goes, "Look, I'd like to do an album where of Cactus and all the influences, the guys that were influenced by Cactus." I said, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I said, "Why don't we do influences and we'll do friends too, you know?" He said, "Great." So I said,
Nice.
"Why don't we call it influences and friends?"
Right.
So he said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." So, yeah, as I said, I started with the drums. The first song was Patron, which was one of Cactus' big underground songs that influenced Van Halen. Matter of fact, somebody had a book about Van Halen just come out, and you open up the first page, and there's a big picture of our first Cactus album. Because
Nice.
they loved Cactus. They loved Cactus. Eruption was one of the intros to one of our songs, Extended, which we did on this album. We extended it.
Wow.
And
I
we
have to
got Doug
look, I have to
Aldrich
go
to
back
play
and
on it.
listen to that. Yeah.
Yeah, listen
Um,
to that.
but
And
you have all kinds
yeah,
of special guests on this album. Like you got
yes,
Ted Nugent, Dee Snider, Bumblefoot is on there, Bob Daisley is on there. You got Steve Stevens. I mean, there's Rudy Sarzo and a lot of different.
How about Joe Bonamassa?
Oh, Joe, that's right. Yeah, I mean, talk
Yeah,
about lending a little blues credibility to
yeah,
that, huh? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
he's
Also
fantastic.
we got Warren Hayes from Government Mule
Yep.
and Allman Brothers, another blues. He does the actual down, slow blues. He did an amazing job. But the funny thing is, this is the only album that I ever did where I recorded the drums first.
That's
You
different,
know,
isn't it? Isn't
yeah,
it?
it's
That's
real
typically
different.
not the way you would do it.
I had to figure out a way to do it because originally I was just humming the melody to myself while I was playing. It took my concentration away from playing.
Yeah.
So after a couple of songs like that, which came out great anyway, those songs came out phenomenal. Posture Farm, which has Bonamassa on it, and Ted Nugent song, One Way or Another. Those were the first two songs. So I said, I got to do it a better way. So I put a click down, and then I would sing the song to myself on the machine. I would go, instead of singing it to myself, I go like the lick for One Way or Another goes da down down down. I sing it a couple of times. And when the vocal starts, I go one way or another, and now down down down. You go to like that. So I do the lick and the vocal, and then it was like a roadmap to the song. And then I
Right.
would play to that, and that was a lot easier because I didn't have to concentrate on the arrangement. I just concentrated on my playing the arrangement, So I did all the songs like that. We did 14 songs all total. 12 of them I did that way. Two of them I just did with the drums in my head. And then I said, okay, what now? So I'd send it to the guitar player who plays with Cactus. He sings, plays guitar. He did the guitar, harmonica, and sang it. Then we sent it to our bass player. He put the bass on. And I had demos for different people. So I knew Billy Sheehan wanted to play on anything that could, anything that related to Tim Bogert. Tim Bogert was his idol. Guy was
Wow.
a bass player of Fudge, bass player of BBA, bass player of Cactus. He loved Tim. So I said, Billy, you want to play in Parchment Farm? He said, gladly. Then he played on another song called Oleo, which had Tim Bogert's bass solo in it.
Yep.
And Billy did the bass solo. And,
Wow.
it was really,
Yeah, you
brought a
can't
tear to my eye. It was amazing,
you can't do much
So,
better than Billy Sheehan doing
no,
Tim Bogert, right? It's just
it's amazing,
yeah.
amazing. So we did Parchment Farm, and after we had the vocal, we had Billy on, we had me on it. Then we gave it to original guitar player Jim McCarty. He played all the rhythms and the fills, and then we knew we wanted Bonamassa to play the solo. And
Nice.
the way I got Bonamassa, I did his podcast, and he said, the song Parchment Farm blew me away, blew my brains out, the exact words. I said, wow, good, I'm doing this album. I'd love for you to play on it. He says, I'm in.
Wow.
So there, I had him on his own podcast, so he couldn't back out.
Joe is like that, though. Joe is like he lends his talents out all over the place, and
he does,
seems.
he does. But I know Joe since he's like 13 years old, when he was a prodigy.
Really?
Yeah, I met
Wow.
him back then. And through the years, we were going to do a Bonamassa Bogan and Appice in 2005 or 2006.
Wow.
And there's a YouTube on YouTube called Superstition, the BBA song.
Yeah.
With Bonamassa, Bogan, and Appice. And then his manager said it don't fit into his plan. And 2 years later, he was huge. So I don't know what they did. Something they did something.
Yeah,
But,
I've always been kind of bummed out because the music scene changed so much that a guy like Bonamassa doesn't get a lot of, he doesn't get any radio attention or anything because the music is so different.
No radio. Well, there's no radio.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But I mean, there's radio.
Yeah.
But it's like
the
same 10 bands,
But he don't need it.
No.
He's selling out 10,000 seats, and what does he need radio for? He did it on his own way.
It's just nostalgia for me because I grew up in the business, and you were just talking about FM.
I would have loved, it's amazing. We got a song on this Cactus album called Brother Bill.
Yeah.
Real bluesy. We just got added to, I don't know, was it 110 blues stations and a syndicated blues station thing. I said, whoa.
Nice.
That's the only radio I remember having in the last 20 years.
it might come back. I don't know when it's going to come back. I think people are going to get tired of what's going on, but it's been 30 something years now. And I don't know.
I think the radio that's out there now is that pop stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what the young kids that listen to radio and dance to it. I mean, that's the new thing. Just like when we came out in the 60s, it was like all new. The FM radio was brand new.
Right.
And so all the kids followed that. And now all the kids of what you could say rock music is now turned into pop music.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that.
You had variety though.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe that we started back in the day, and now all the FM stations are now pop stations.
Yeah, I know.
And everything sounds exactly the same.
Right. Well, that's the problem I have.
Where you can go back in the day in the 80s, and you can go, oh, that's Van Halen, that's Deep Purple, that's so and so, that's Led Zeppelin. Now today, even the rock bands, these heavy rock bands that are out now,
I know.
They all sound the same.
Well, that's who I'm mostly talking about. I mean, what is Five Finger Death Punch, whatever it is, and it's all it's all dark.
They don't even sing anymore. They go.
Well, the vocalists all sound. They pretty much all sound alike. They all have that kind of growl. Started in the '90s, and then it hasn't changed.
No, it's as far as drum sound, it's the worst drum sounds today. They just.
Well, it sounds all
the same. They're all sampled,
compressed, a lot of compression,
terrible.
And then you can't make out. It's like a wall, rather than like in the old days.
The bass drums sound like hitting a couch. That's the bass drum sound.
Spoken like a drummer, right? Spoken like a great drummer.
Well, if you listen to the Cactus album, we got a killer drum sound on there. My engineer that mixes. He's fantastic. I mean, you can hear everything that everybody's playing, but man, it's right in your face. And the kid said, my drums sound like drums. They don't sound like couches.
That's a quote of the video right there. Doesn't sound like a couch. Sounds like a drum. So how did you, what got you into music? I know this is kind of a left field question, but what started it?
My cousin played drums when he was, he was in his teens and I was younger than him. So, we're an Italian family. We go over and visit cousin Joey, for his birthday, for Christmas, for Easter, for all these different things, and he had his drum set, and I would jump on the drums and play.
Yeah, I mean that's
And then
Italians do everything together. Yeah.
yeah. So then I go home banging the pots and pans, and my mother said, "Father, they got me some toy drum sets, you know." And I graduated to a better drum set eventually that I wouldn't break.
Yeah.
And then from that, I really liked it. I used to practice downstairs in the cellar in Brooklyn. And, my first album, I remember going, "What was your first album?" They expected me to say the Beatles or something like that.
Right.
My
Probably not.
first album was Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa,
Yeah.
the two greatest drummers. And between the two of them, they made drums what they are today. Gene Krupa was the showman, made people look at drums, and as I say, brought the drums out front. And then Buddy Rich was the ultimate technician that everybody listened to. Everybody, every drummer today knows the name and listen to Buddy Rich.
I know was that Danny Seraphin from Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Loved Buddy Rich.
Loved Buddy. We all love Buddy. Danny was a friend of mine, and we all love Buddy Rich. I got to know Buddy in the last maybe 6-7 years of his life, and great guy. I did events with him, and I used to have the Carmine Appice drum off, which Guitar Center stole from me, and started doing the Guitar Center drum off. And one of the big ones I did was I had Buddy Rich as a judge, and all the guys in the '80s here, Michael DeRocha from Heart. My brother was with Dio, and the guy, all the bands, even Jocko from Sha Na Na was a judge. And then at the end, we usually put all the judges together and take fours, 4 bars each. So I said, "Okay, who wants to follow Buddy?" Silence. Silence.
Nobody.
I said, "Oh, screw you guys. I'll follow Buddy. I got 2 bass drums,
Yeah.
But I got to know him, I was in a helicopter with him after that day, going to his date, which was in Disneyland. And he's in the front seat, turns around to Eyewitness News and said, "This is my buddy Carmine Appice. He's a great drummer. What do I know?" It's from Buddy Rich. I said, "Wow, man." I'm sitting there just blushing,
Nice. Wow.
But he was the best. But that's how it happened. Then in my father's side of the family, there's 7 drummers.
Whoa.
My cousin Joey started.
It's genetic.
Then my cousin Frankie, my cousin Anthony, my brother Vinny, my cousin Tommy, and my son.
This sounds like an Al Pacino movie or something. I mean, you could.
It's unbelievable. All the names, right? All the names. You got Nicholas, you got Frankie, Vinny, Anthony, Joey.
That's
Carmine.
That's awesome, man.
I think if I start a restaurant called Carmine's Italian Restaurant, I'll probably do well because there's so many Carmines around that do well.
They'll just show up to eat there, and that's a smart, especially up in the Northeast, But at Florida, since you're in Florida, bring it down to Florida because there's not much going on.
I know. There is a Carmine over here. Amazing. It's expensive, great food, and they even have an Italian deli.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I might have to take just to do that.
We're really going off the track here.
Yeah, we're going off. Well, it's 2 Italian guys talking about Italian food.
What's your last name?
Spuria, but it's not at all as bad as Appice or Appice. Appice. Yeah. It's not.
Appice.
It's kind of just. I'm a Sicilian more than Italian, so that's.
Oh yeah, we're South Italy. We're Calabrese and Calabria and Bari.
Okay. Yeah. So let me get back to music. So you got when you were in Vanilla Fudge, why did you guys decide, hey, we're gonna cover like a Motown song and just
listen, the whole thing was a thing going on in New York. A group called the Vagrants were doing it, and Leslie West was in the Vagrants.
Oh wow.
And we used to call it production numbers, where they would come down, take down the tempo.
Yeah.
And make it more emotional.
Oh yeah.
So everybody was doing it. There was Billy Joel was in the Hassles doing it.
Yeah.
We did it, but we were the first band to get a record deal because we noticed that all the songs we did Ticket to Ride and Bang Bang and Eleanor Rigby and all these songs. Every time we did You Keep Me Hanging On, the way we played it, like we did it on the Ed Sullivan Show, everybody would stop what they were doing and come up to the stage and watch us, you know.
Yeah, it was
And
dramatic.
it was totally dramatic and emotional. Mark Stein was the best singer of all those bands, you know. I mean, Billy Joel was a good singer, but man, Mark Stein had the soul like nobody, you know.
Yeah,
And the band, we all sang, you know, and we're all really monster players, you know. And
absolutely.
Tim
Yeah.
Bogle was the first bass player I ever played with. He was amazing, you know.
That's why
And
it's
we,
stupid. It's stupid you guys aren't even considered. You haven't even been nominated.
oh, dude, that's ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, we started so much stuff together. Me and Tim and the Vanilla Fudge. Come on, Vanilla Fudge influenced so many bands, you know, so many bands.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
you know, so when we did it, then we went in and cut it as a demo, one take,
yeah.
mono.
Yeah.
I think we sang everything and did it all at one time.
What's
You know,
what's the time on that song, like the longest version?
7 minutes and something.
Yeah.
You
And you
know,
guys
but it
you do
still
it
lives.
live.
Yeah, we did a long version. It
And
still lives though. It was just been recently in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It was at the end of the movie when they're killing all these people. In The Sopranos, it was in it 3 times at the very last episode of Sopranos. What's the name? Tony wakes up to Vanilla Fudge on the radio on Q104. You know,
that's
and then
wow.
by the end of that particular episode, they were killing Phil, right? And Vanilla Fudge was on. I go, what's this? Everybody getting killed to Vanilla Fudge music, you know?
Yeah, well,
And,
Steve Perry said he didn't want, when they used "Don't Stop Believing," he was saying how they didn't want to, like, he didn't want anyone to be killed, you know, at the end, because he thought it would be
yeah,
bad for the song. But you guys, you're probably like,
it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
use it again.
I got a story about Steve Perry. Like Steve Perry played with Tim Bogert in Tim Bogert's band that never got a deal. And I went to Tim's house and knocked on the door, and he comes to the door. I go, "Who are you?" And my name's Steve Perry. I sing with Tim. I go, "You do?" I said, "Where's Tim?" He goes, "He's sleeping." And so I walk in and said, "Tim, wake up." I said, "Who's this guy?" You know? And then he said, "Oh, he's in my band. We're doing a bunch of showcases, a label." So they did all the showcases. They didn't like the band, but they loved Steve Perry. And the Journey needed a singer.
What year
And
was
there you
that? Do
go.
you remember what
Oh,
year that
man.
was?
1978,
78. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
77, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and he went on to become a huge giant, you know, star.
right.
You know,
Well,
it's
that's
just funny how all this stuff happens.
it's funny. I mean, you've basically you've seen and been with just about everybody in the industry, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I mean, I knew everybody, you know, because we used to hang out. It
Right.
wasn't an industry yet.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
hear you.
it was just everybody recorded me. You know, hey, can you come do my record? Yeah, sure, no problem. And then it got to the point where I was asked to join Rainbow, and I was asked to join Whitesnake
That would make sense.
before that big huge album Whitesnake had, but I couldn't do it. When I
Oh,
was asked to join Rainbow, I was with a group called KGB, which had Mike Bloomfield in it and Rick Gretsch from Blind Faith.
yep.
You know, and we had a big record deal in MCA, so I couldn't just leave. I was signed to the label. And with Whitesnake, I had King Cobra. And it
Right.
was my deal. I was signed to the label, not even the band.
Yep.
I couldn't leave my band signed to the label and join Whitesnake, you
No.
know.
No,
So I
that's when you
said,
get
you
into a
need to get
contract.
somebody else, you know, maybe Ainsley or somebody. Ainsley did it. They sold 27 million albums.
Ah,
And then Rainbow became huge. But you know, if I would have done Rainbow, I wouldn't have been able to do Rod Stewart. You know, Rod Stewart was bigger than Rainbow.
yeah,
And you know,
yeah. I mean, commercially, yeah.
I wouldn't have wrote that big giant song.
Do you get checks for that still or what?
Oh yeah. I sold my publishing, but you know, everybody's selling their publishing. I sold mine a few years ago back to Warner Brothers, but I still kept what they call ASCAP, which is
Yep.
a performance. That still makes big money.
Good.
You know.
Good. You
But,
deserve it. I mean, that's your art. I like to see guys
yeah,
getting
I mean
what they
that's why I don't have Spotify. I will not download any song from Spotify because we get screwed. You know.
Yeah, yeah, you do. And somebody needs to go up there and just tell somebody you
Yeah,
can't keep doing
it's
pennies.
terrible. So I won't support it. You know, I know it's just me. I know a lot of musicians that won't support it. You
Right.
know.
Well, it's not just you. I mean, there's a lot of people that are
And
just
I'm
fed
sure
up
my
with it.
new album is on Spotify, and it's going to be on Spotify. But
When is it?
you
Is it
know,
out? I thought it wasn't
it's
out yet.
coming out June 7th. But
Yeah,
it's fun. The way it went was, I'm friends with Foghat. We're going to do some shows with them, 7, 8, and 9. And I noticed that they were #1 in the Billboard Blues chart.
get
And
out.
I saw Robin Trower #1 there too. I said, these are guys that were just, rock artists like Cactus.
Right,
So I
right.
talked to Brian, who's the owner of Cleopatra Records. I said, Brian, we should market this as a blues album
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you market it as a regular album, you don't get anywhere these
Well,
days.
see,
But
you're hitting on an important point. Like I tell people back in the 80s, like the late 80s, there was kind of like a revival, like guys like Gary Moore, Robert Cray.
yeah,
They're all doing you call them blues, contemporary blues albums or whatever, but there were rock albums
the
with
blues
blues.
albums, the
Yeah,
blues rock, it's
right.
blues rock with, so I said we should market. He goes, you know what? Let's call it Temple of Blues.
Yeah,
I said, wow, that's a good idea. I said, let's do this. Temple of Blues, influences and friends.
exactly. I
It tells the whole story.
I tell everybody, Carmine, I say, go buy the product. Go buy, if you can buy a CD, go buy it. Don't just download it. Don't,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
help the artist, because
Yeah.
not, and I tell people,
I,
you're going to listen to it in your car the wrong way. I say, you can always pick it up, use it as a coaster, man. Put your adult beverage on top of it, but help the, help the business, help the industry. Cause you guys, everyone takes a beating putting out new music today.
it's ridiculous. I mean, that's why people don't want to do it. I mean, I did a King Cobra album last year, and the two major guitarists didn't want to do it. They said, why? Nobody hears it, nobody buys it, and you
Right.
don't make any money on it. I said,
Yeah.
you'll make a little money on a budget when you make it, but that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's bigger. It's definitely, here's the thing I've learned. It's bigger over in Europe, in places like Sweden,
Yeah, yeah.
where
But even so, like it sold nothing. Even
yeah,
though King Cobra went there and we did the Sweden Rock Festival. We had like 9, 10,000 people watching us. They loved it. We did a live album with it, but still, I don't like just traveling, over Europe. It's too hard. At my
yeah.
age, I don't need it. You know, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
sounds like you're busy enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I'm busy enough, and so now this album has done great. It's like last count was #6 on the Amazon pre-orders for blues.
you know what?
Right?
I'm
Number
gonna,
one, number one was Slash's album on
Nice.
the
Well,
pre-orders.
he surprised me with some of the stuff that he came out with. I really was impressed. And he's working
He's
with
like
some.
he played. Excuse me, he played on my guitars this record. He played old school blues rock guitar.
Yeah.
He didn't play like Yngwie and
Right.
that modern Eddie Van Halen. He played old school blues rock. Like Jim McCarty, like the old guys.
Right.
So I'm not surprised he did that.
Yeah.
But I said, well, that's great. So he's #1 and Cactus is #6. I'm happy about that. I'm glad we call it a blues album. Even when I talked to my guitar player, original guitarist, Jim McCarty, he's into really the old blues. He plays it like the old guys play it, like Mose Allison and Howlin' Wolf. He plays like that. So when I told him we're going to call this a blues album, he goes, that's not blues. I said, what are you talking about? It's not blues. We've always been a blues rock band. We got
Right.
the No Need to Worry was the down home 6/8 blues. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
All the songs have 1, 4, 5 changes. You know what that is?
I don't
Huh?
know.
Like if you have it in the key of E, it's like E A B. They're ba 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 down 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 ba 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 down down down. Those are blues changes.
Right.
It started it went started way back in the old rock. I said so. Most of our songs are blues changes. What are you talking about? He
Right.
says, well, all right. So I said, fine. So I said, look, I don't care if you like it. We're doing it. Because, he basically retired from the band. I just brought him in on a couple of tracks because, he should be in it. And,
Absolutely.
and so I've been running this Cactus thing for a few years, touring it and all that, keeping the legend alive. That's basically what it's all about. Same thing with King Cobra. I did the records to keep the legend alive.
Yeah.
If you didn't do that, forget about it. It just fades away.
Did you
You
ever
know?
get Blue Murder back together again at all?
We tried, but John Sykes didn't want to do it.
Huh.
Yeah, I love John. He's the greatest guitar player, one of the greatest, great singer. But from what I understand, he doesn't like the business,
Yeah.
the business model. And he said he don't need it. He's got a house with a studio in it, and he doesn't talk to many people that I know of.
Yeah.
Me and Tony Franklin, Tony talks to him a little bit. I talk to him a little bit, but he just don't do anything. He doesn't like what's going on from what I hear. I
Yeah.
don't blame him. It's terrible. The business is terrible. But
Well, we're
for
glad
me,
that you're
I
still
love
going.
it. I love playing. I love playing. So I'm like Buddy Rich. I'll do it as long as I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, the album comes out on, you said June 7th, right?
June 7th, yeah.
And Cleopatra is the record label, and Amazon, you can pre-order that album right now.
Yeah, it's an LP.
Yeah.
And it's a CD.
Nice.
And, I'm glad you said about that. Buy it or help you out. I have a friend of mine up the street, that it says the same thing. He goes, I don't download, I don't Spotify. If I hear a song basically like on Sirius, it says I'll buy the record. I'll buy it from iTunes. I'll buy the whole album. And that way the artist makes money.
Right. That's what I tell people to do.
Thank you. I said, that's right. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah. I tell everybody to do that.
We're working for that. We're working for nothing,
Yeah, which is a shame. And that's kind of partly why the industry is going the way it's going.
Yeah. It all started back in the day with
Napster.
Napster.
Yeah.
They started doing this and it changed the world.
Changed the world. The music changed, and then you had the downloading stuff and people getting, file sharing. That's what they used to call it back then. Yeah, I'm going to do some file sharing. Yeah. You could buy a file sharing program. It's stealing.
It's the same thing. It's changed the movie business too. My daughter does special effects makeup, and the movie business has changed too with all the streaming. And
yeah. You go to any.
She said a good thing. She said, when we used to make movies and everything, it was movie companies.
Right.
Now it's tech companies making the movies.
That's true.
And they don't really care, if it's great, if it's good,
Right.
So they bring in people that are not great. And I said, yeah, I never thought of it like that, but it is.
Yeah.
Than when Carmine made the movies and, MGM made the movies and Columbia made the movies,
yep. Well, now you got AI too. You're gonna have all this AI coming your way, which you can't tell. I mean, it really, for the music business, it's really rough. When people are taking a vocal and then they're laying it over another vocal.
I just did one of those actually.
You did?
But I can't talk about it. But I did one. It came out great. But they had the rights to do it.
Okay.
They bought the rights, and somebody had passed away, and they bought the rights for them to do it. And it was their voice singing something, and they just did the AI and reduced it to make it sound younger, but it was their voice, so it wasn't like creating a voice from somebody else. But anyway, it was interesting, definitely interesting. It was an interesting project, but every contract I sign now, if they have an AI clause in there that says we can use the AI, I said I won't do it. Take that out.
Yeah.
Because even as me as a drummer, they can AI my drum sound and AI my persona.
Yeah, it's coming, man. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's kind of already here, really. So
yeah. I'm glad that I made it when I made it, and music was great in that day. It was tremendous music, tremendous artists.
You're from an analog. You're from the analog world, Carmine.
Yeah, I am.
You're from the tape.
I love analog.
Yeah,
I still love it. That's why somebody said, all right, we're going to run tape. I go, you're not running tape. You're digitally.
It's just an expression. People say tape it, right? It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great. Look, I hope you got enough here.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you coming on, man, and talking about the new album. We want to promote that and get people interested in that. And you've had a wonderful career. You should be in the Hall of Fame. That's an embarrassment, but
it is an embarrassment.
What
just let me say one thing. A lot of people ask me, like, how did I get these people on the album? So basically, I called them. I said, we're going to do now. And the surprise to me was I called them as friends.
Yeah.
Like Steve Stevens, I called him as a friend. He said, yeah, I'd love to do it. Cactus was a big influence of mine because he's from Brooklyn. I said, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't know Cactus was an influence of yours. Listen, there's a bunch of other ones like that, like Malcolm Mendoza, who played with Whitesnake bass, and Doug Alders. I knew Doug,
Yep.
but I didn't know Cactus was an influence. So there's a whole bunch of that going on. Warren Haynes, I didn't know either.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of that going on here. So I'm really honored that these people honored to be on the Cactus album. And on the album covers, there's I don't know, there's about 12 of the, I had 25 artists on this. There's maybe 12 or 14 of them that gave me quotes about the track they're on. And they're all talking about they're honored to be on Cactus, and Cactus influenced them, and blah, 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 blah. I said, wow.
Yeah.
I said, I'm honored that all these people are honored.
Well, there's your Hall of Fame right there. The musicians like you, and that's all that matters.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay,
well,
man. Yeah,
thanks for
real quick. I thought Hall of Fame was about influence.
Well, I was going to bring that up, right? Because I'm talking right at the beginning with Vanilla Fudge. I was thinking, this band influences all these other bands.
Every band that was around when we were, Hendrix is in, the Doors is in.
Yep.
The Who are in.
Right.
Who else? The Cream, they're in.
Oh yeah.
Vanilla Fudge, no. Deep Purple, yes. Led Zeppelin, yes. Vanilla Fudge, no.
How many albums did Vanilla Fudge do?
Well, we did 4 back then, and then we've done a couple since then.
Yeah. Well, those 4 albums, the first
4
2
albums. The first 2. Well, not the second. The second ruined us.
No.
Really, the first album and the 4th album were the really big ones.
Yeah.
And those were the ones that really influenced a lot of people. The second one was a concept album. Ahmet Erdogan, producer. It was their idea. If you go on YouTube and listen to it, you'll see it. I think it destroyed our career for the second one. For being as big as the Cream, as big as those other guys, But
yeah, you got to have that momentum going forward.
Yeah, we lost the momentum. We did the 3rd album, which had a great song, "Season of the Witch" on it, which was a big song for us. And then the 4th song had "Shotgun," which we did on Ed Sullivan. They had these. The whole one side was a break song, which showed all of our musicianship, doing solos and all that, which was in at the time. And we were big. I mean, we were doing 8,000 people.
Yeah,
8,000 people.
Well, it's great music.
Still
people
not good enough to be in the Rock Hall of Fame. They'd rather bring in the Go-Go's.
I love that, the Go-Go's. Yeah, all right.
I just want to know who did the Go-Go's influence?
I don't know.
It should have been the Runaways.
I have no idea. Yeah, 100. I agree with that 100%. So
the Runaways were one of the first influential female bands, and you had Joan Jett and you had Lita Ford come out of it. Who came out of the Go-Go's? What's that?
You had Belinda. Yeah.
Belinda. All right. So who did she influence?
But she didn't influence anybody. She just changed her style, and she became a pop singer. All right. Well, listen.
Okay.
You're a great man. Thanks for being on here. I'll have to get over on the East Coast. Maybe I'll see you at the water hole or the Italian restaurant over there.
You got it, man.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.